The Cumberland Spaceman is a figure seen in a photograph taken on the 23rd of May 1964 by fireman and photographer Jim Templeton. The photograph shows a background figure wearing what looks like a spacesuit that Jim insisted was not visibly present when the photograph was taken. The image has been hotly debated by ufologists ever since. Join myself and Neil here on Aliens Explored as we try to develop our own theories behind this intriguing image. Aliens Explored is a weekly podcast exploring famous and obscure cases of UFO sightings, alien abductions and other strange events from both a believing and a sceptical perspective whilst keeping an open mind. I'm Stu Jackson, a professional actor and amateur ufologist with a particular interest in the crop circle phenomenon. I'll be debating that otherworldly visitations are real. The truth is out there.
And I'm Neil Kelly. I'm a professional actor as well and used to work for the military as an intelligence analyst. I'll be arguing from a more doubtful point of view. I mean, it's all a bit far-fetched, isn't it? Hello listeners and welcome back to Aliens Explored, your weekly look at all things extraterrestrial, supernatural, going on in those mysterious skies, outer limits of space, and perhaps turning up in some of your old photographs. I'm one of your hosts, Neil Kelly.
And I'm your other host, Stu Jackson. How are you doing, Neil?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Now, I'm going to cut straight into this one because, to me, this is our today's subject, the Cumberland Spaceman, also known as the Solway Firth Spaceman.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this is an incredibly famous photograph. Have you seen it yourself?
When I saw it, I thought, yeah, I have seen that somewhere before. It is an odd photo.
I'm wondering if that's because we're British and it's a British photo. I'd be curious to hear our listeners. Normally we do the get in touch with this thing at the end, but I'm going to do it right from the start. Listeners, let us know wherever you are in the world if you've seen this photo yourself and if you're familiar with this story, because I'm curious if it's just a British thing or not. But certainly very, very famous photograph over here.
So this was taken by a guy called he was described as fireman, photographer, and local historian Jim Templeton.
Wow!
Taking a picture of his 5-year-old daughter.
Have massive thunder going off outside.
Oh right! No, I thought we were being visited by extraterrestrials.
Oh well, so did I.
Right,
yeah.
Massive thunder.
It's the end of the world.
So took a picture of his 5-year-old daughter. It's a colour photo. Obviously, early 1960s. Yeah, there's a particular tone to that colour, which I actually like. I love pictures from that sort of era. I love that kind of colour tone. And it's basically the head and shoulders of his 5-year-old daughter. But it looks like standing right behind her, just appearing over the top of her head, is this creature that you can't quite make out. You can see the upper half of its body leaning slightly at an angle to the right in the photo. It looks like it's wearing a helmet with a visor, but the arms are around the wrong way. That you can see with the bend in the elbow that we're obviously looking at the back of this. I
wouldn't say that was obvious.
Person.
I'd say it's hard to gauge from that angle.
Would you? No, it looks. Maybe it is. Yeah, it depends on the way you look at it. Yeah, maybe the. Yeah, it could be that actually that arm, that hand could be on the hip, couldn't it? And it could be facing us. But my first impression of it was that I was seeing an elbow bent backwards someone walking up a hill. So yeah, didn't appear in any other photographs. He wasn't aware of that apparition until after the photographs were developed. Now he was up there with his daughter and his wife, and
Yes.
There are other pictures of his daughter and wife.
Well, his wife's in one of the other. So he only took 3 pictures.
Yeah.
On that day, his wife is sort of in one of the others. So this is his wife Annie, who was there as well. So this, worth mentioning, this was taken on the 23rd of May 1964. It's a sunny day, as you can see from the photo. So it's nice, it's pleasant, it's on a green hillside. It's like typical out in the country, nice sort of family photo. Really interesting. Yeah, he was not aware of anyone else being in the photo. Now, the photograph has been analysed by Kodak. It was analysed by Kodak at the time, and they confirmed it was a genuine photograph, that it had not been altered in any way.
Or double exposed or anything like that.
That's correct.
Okay.
So that's quite interesting.
Now it has been supposed that the spaceman, this guy David Clark, said in 2014.
Dr. David Clark, who we
Dr.
talked
David,
about.
Yeah. Who said it's most likely Templeton's wife, and that he didn't notice that she'd kind of wandered into shot, because with that particular make of camera, you could only actually see 70% of what was going to be in the photo through the viewfinder. So you have to focus on what you're focusing on, and there might be other things that you can't see, but you won't see them until the photo comes out. And he's saying, she was wearing a pale blue dress on the day in question, which is partially overexposed as white. She also had dark bobbed hair, so he's arguing that's the back of her head, but it looks like a helmet, doesn't it? It looks.
Well, let me address that, because
okay.
I think there's a number of relevant things to discuss there. So I have, as we've discussed on this episode before, I have a lot of time for Dr. David Clark. I think he's very professional in what he does. However, I think the timing of his claims, and he is, to be fair, he's only theorising that this is Annie Templeton. That this is the back of her. He's come out with this claim 3 years after Jim Templeton passed away. So it's impossible for Jim Templeton to respond to this claim. So that's a bit kind of unfair in a way, I would say, to make this claim after the guy's dead. Where he can't defend himself.
Well, Jim Templeton isn't really claiming anything, is he? Apart from he took this photo, and wasn't aware of anything apart from his daughter in the photo, until they came back. The photos came back from the developers, and he saw this apparition behind his daughter.
Yes,
the Cumberland Spaceman.
But he did a lot of interviews and things like that, and he, I'll say, embraced the theory that it was some sort of alien or spaceman that was there. He certainly embraced that concept. But coming back onto Dr. David Clark's claim, so he claims that it was Annie walking away. Now, I find it hard to accept this, but you only see 70% of what's inside the viewfinder. It's literally right behind Elizabeth's head, Elizabeth being the daughter. So he would have seen through the view. He would have seen her through the viewfinder, and this guy was like a pretty much a professional photographer. He would have known what he was looking at through a viewfinder. It's not like he was inexperienced.
Not inexperienced,
like
but
paying attention.
You focus on what you're focusing on, and Yeah, if perhaps he can't actually see the top of her head in his photo, but he knows it will be in the photo because he knows what size the photo will come out.
If you crop that photo by 70%, you still see the top of her head, and you still see part of this.
You see part of it, but you might not necessarily see it as anything.
Being.
You wouldn't see the whole thing and think, wait a minute, that's
not the whole thing. But as a professional photographer, the last thing you do is when you're doing photography is have things sticking out of people's heads, because that looks odd.
But he was just taking a quick snap of his daughter, wasn't he? He wasn't really
professional photography. He would. I don't know. I think those skills kick in. But let's move on to Dr. David Clarke's other claims that where this thing looks white was her blue dress overexposed. I've worked a lot with overexposed footage over the years. When I was first learning my skills with video cameras in particular, I've never seen it where it just turns a particular colour white.
Also,
it doesn't
look like a dress, does it? It just looks like a one-piece outfit.
And I've compared it to like with this in mind. I've looked carefully at the other photograph that Annie is shown. Now she's sort of laying on the floor and her head's cut off. So I mean, not literally, but from the photograph.
Not a very professional photo, you might say.
She's like but she's not sticking out of her daughter's head either. But she's this dress that she's wearing. Yes, it is a very, very pale blue, but it's a sleeveless dress for a start. And in this photo, that's the only footage I've looked at, because it was taken on the same day. Annie's arms are rather slim. Now you look at the Cumberland Spaceman, they're definitely not slim arms. It's possible that it's sleeveless. I did look for sort of rumples or uneven surfaces to suggest that there was something in sleeves, but no, can't see any of that. But they're definitely not slim arms.
No, but also in the other photo you can clearly see where dress ends and arm begins, where it's coming out the dress. You can't see that in the spaceman behind her. It just looks like they're wearing a one-piece outfit. And that
you can't, but to be fair, clothing does sit differently on you when you're laid on the ground to when you're stood up and walking. So,
even so, I still think that on one side or the other you would be able to see that was a dress, and there was.
It is pushing it, I think, but I'm looking at the width of the arms, and they're quite muscular arms, I think, on the Cumberland Spaceman.
The head as well. It looks like a motorcycle crash helmet. It looks like a black visor, and you can clearly see a dome bit on top. Or is that something is that just something in the sky behind? Is it a cloud or the moon or?
An overexposed image would not create this black square of bobbed hair, It just wouldn't have that effect. So I'm sorry, Dr. David Clarke. I think you're talking nonsense there.
Well, Templeton himself said he took the picture to the police.
Yes.
And they examined it and finally said there's nothing suspicious. So we're not gonna set up an incident room. He's been thousands of letters from people with all sorts of ideas about what it might be, most of which he said make little sense to me. And this is what we talked about in our previous episode. He was visited by two men who said they were from the government. These were the men in black, who refused to show any identification. They said they were just identified by a number. They made him take them to the site where the photos were taken. He said that when he explained he hadn't actually seen the figure at the time, that it was something that came out later in the photo. He said the men became angry and drove away, leaving him to walk home. He decided that they were frauds.
Pranksters. At the time, that was his conclusion, was someone was messing about with him, pulling his leg. That was his conclusion at the time. But he did change his mind later on when he started hearing about Men in Black stories.
Yeah.
When he later heard about them, he was a bit, oh, actually, that's quite familiar.
But
they also, worthy of note, they also, well, they said they were from the government. They wouldn't identify themselves by name. They're only by number. Don't know what those numbers were.
No. But they refused to show their
that's
identification.
a Men in Black visitation right there.
Yeah, it is, but I can imagine a lot of Men in Black visitations are just crackpots who just want to get in on the story, and they'll just turn up at someone's been in the news because they've seen something odd. Someone just says, "Oh, well, I'll put my black suit on and go and pay them a visit, and go and see what I can get out of it." Might have been journalists.
Maybe that sounds
some
like
tabloid
an odd one.
Trying it on,
How would they get his address?
I would imagine in a small town in Cumberland.
Cumberland's not that small.
Maybe they went from door to door. I mean, maybe they. I don't know how many Templetons would there be in Cumberland. You look them up in the phone book.
200,000.
You reckon?
It's not a small town.
What, a couple of 100,000 people called Templeton?
Oh, Templeton. No, sorry. I thought it meant properties.
Yeah, I don't imagine it'll be hard to track someone down in that part of the world. He's from Carlisle.
I'm not convinced.
He's from Carlisle, so maybe enough information was given away to identify him.
Carlisle's a big old town.
It's not that big.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
big as
I'm from
Newcastle
London,
or Sunderland.
You really?
Yeah, I used to
I've
live
been
up
to
there.
Carlisle. I didn't think it was that big.
Yeah, Carlisle's huge.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, this is not the only time that a similar being has been spotted, though, is it? Because Jim Templeton himself heard a story about in South Australia a Woomera test range where they were testing some missiles called Blue Streak, and the test launch was cancelled because of two large people in spacesuits appearing on the runway. And when he showed them his photo, the people involved at Woomera Test Range said, "Yep, that's them. That's what we saw." Which is quite interesting. And in addition, so 13 years after this photograph was taken, over in Wales in the UK, a place called Broadhaven, there was a very similar figure. They reckon about 8 foot tall, a figure in silver clothing with, well, they described as faceless by some, or having sort of a black visor, was seen, by loads of people.
But there was also, around that time, someone who bought a firefighter's suit from a local, because there's I've forgotten what the industry is there, but they had these silver suits worn by firefighters. Someone got one of those and was wandering around in that as a prank. He obviously didn't look. Yeah,
I'm going to interject on that because I think wording is really important with these things. There is someone who claimed they did that.
Who claimed they did that, but yeah, you will get these people, whether he did it or whether he just claimed to have done it. Apparently nearly got himself shot by a farmer when he turned up on the turned up at their farm.
But this is not a person who was 8 foot tall, though.
No, he wasn't 8 foot tall. But what I'm saying is that people will do this kind of thing. People will play pranks like that. They will wander around.
You do get pranksters, absolutely. That's not an uncommon thing. Yeah. And it was also interesting that some of the reports... So Broadhaven's a completely different thing. We're going to be doing episodes about that next year, so I don't want to go too far into this, but it's worth bearing in mind as well that there were reports of that being before that person claimed to have done the prank. So, yeah, that doesn't entirely tie up for me. But yeah, it's interesting that, 3 separate places this being was claimed to have been seen.
I also...
completely separate incidents.
I know you shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but I'm afraid I do have to... If this guy, Jim Templeton, was a professional photographer, it's a pretty blurry photo, isn't it? That's not professional quality photography.
Well, the equipment at the time wasn't brilliant.
No, what I mean, that's not a professional photo. That is a snapshot. That's why even the picture of his daughter, that's not a good picture of his daughter. It's very blurry.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll say it's not a great photo to start with. That's if it had been a professional photographer and took professional quality. I mean, I suppose the kind of thing we're used to seeing, or even you could take back in those days with a good quality camera. He wasn't taking a picture with a good quality camera. This was what was it, a Kodak or a Brownie or something? Or
do you know? I don't know what type of camera it was that he was using. I honestly don't know.
But yeah, it's not a great photo.
No, but then, so I've mentioned about I'll do filmmaking. I have a range of different cameras. If I'm out and about though, and I want to take a quick video or something, I'll use my phone. Now, even though it's all supposed to be 4K and things like that. Actually, the difference in quality between it's really good quality for what it is in a phone, but compare that to what I can take even just HD level with my decent cameras. The difference is phenomenal. I like the phone footage, phone video. It's very flat. It's got no depth to it whatsoever or anything like that. So,
But what I'm saying is, I mean, that photo there, he didn't say the spaceman wasn't in it, just that picture of that little girl's head. Even in 1964, that's not good enough quality, of sufficient quality, that you would put it in a frame and put it on the mantelpiece.
No.
It's just not it's really not a good photo.
No, but, out and about, he probably just had a cheap camera with him. That's what I'm saying. You don't take your professional high-level stuff with you everywhere you go.
No, of course. And that's what, what David Clark was saying. A camera like that, you couldn't even see 70% of what was shot through the viewfinder.
Well, no, you can see 70%. That's
you can see 70%. So there's 30% you can't see. So but
so
you can't see everything. You can't see everything that's going to be in the photo,
as you would think.
And it's not going to be a very good quality photo anyway. So
no, no, but he was using a cheap camera. Fair enough.
He was using a cheap camera.
He's allowed. He's out with his family on a day out.
But
he's allowed.
But he's allowed. But a lot of the mystery around this thing is to do with the fact that it's a poor quality photo. You can't really see what it is you're looking at.
You can't, and that's
could be his wife, but it doesn't look like it to me.
No, I honestly think that's a bit of a stretch. Like I say, I got a lot of time and respect for David Clark, but I think he's off the ball on this one.
She was the only other person there with them, as I understand it. They were walking up a hill, so it was just him, his wife, and his little girl. So what they're saying that the camera picked up something invisible to the human eye.
Yeah. Or something that was only there for just the tiniest fraction of a second.
So this extraterrestrial being is shadowing this family as they're walking up this hill. I'll just briefly materialise because I need to scratch my arse or something. Oh shit! I did it just at the second he took the picture. Oh shit! Oh well, I better quickly disappear again.
Always passing through. There are instances of UFO and UAP footage that haven't been visible at the time of shooting, but it's only when you look back at it and you slow it down frame by frame, you can actually see the thing where you couldn't see it with the naked eye.
There's a series of videos on YouTube covered by a guy who calls himself Shrouded Hand, who's very good. He's a very nice, very good narrator. He does this whole series about people who have taken photos and then realise there's something sinister in the background that they realise that way over there in the background there's a dead body or something and they hadn't noticed it.
It does happen.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, okay. Let's wrap this one up. So the Cumberland Spaceman. What do you reckon, Neil? What do you think it is?
Oh, I really gotta say we're looking at a poor quality photo. Someone claiming it could be his wife. Yeah, I suppose it doesn't look like that to me. But I think David Clarke is reaching for the only prosaic explanation available. The only other person who was there had wandered into shot and it had somehow caught her this way. I mean, the head looks all wrong. It doesn't look like a... Is she wearing a hat or something? Yeah, the only other photo he took, I mean, for a professional photographer, the other picture he took of his wife and daughter, he cuts her head off. So...
He wasn't there as a professional, and he was taking a photo of his daughter.
No, but yeah, he took a picture of his daughter. You think... Yeah, he'd at least get his wife in... at least get her head in as well. He's just got her body in there.
Maybe she didn't want to be. I mean...
Maybe, yeah. Some people don't like being photographed. I had a girlfriend who... And because she hated being photographed, we'd always take really bad photos of her because she'd always be trying to avoid the picture. Yeah.
Ditto. I came across an old photo of an ex-girlfriend quite recently and she looks kind of absolutely kind of really... She's pulling this weird face, like really uncomfortable. And I remembered it's because she hated having her photo taken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a mystery. I can't. I really can't say. I can't. In fact, yeah. I mean, yeah. There's something there. It's not just clouds or anything that have resolved themselves into a shape. It's quite a clear shape, isn't it? You can't.
It's clearly a humanoid shape.
Clearly, the top half of a humanoid shape. Yeah. That looks like it's. Yeah, say it looks like someone taken from the back. But it looks like they're wearing a sort of motorcycle helmet with a dark visor, but then that'll be round the wrong way. So unless that visor goes all the way around, or if it is indeed her hair, but it looks like it cuts off flat and then there's a dome piece over it. So was she wearing some kind of hat, or was she? Don't know.
Well, are you ruling out the possibility of extraterrestrial, or? Where are you on it? 50-50? Could be either.
I'm just saying I don't know. I really don't know what that is. But then I think I'm in the majority there.
Yeah. I think people tend to sit on one side of the fence or the other, which is like either nope, there's definitely something there, or nope, it's definitely her, like his wife. I don't think many people sit on the fence.
I'm not going to say it's definitely not his wife. But I'm also not going to say it's definitely his wife. That just doesn't look right, is it?
For my part, I am absolutely convinced it's not his wife. I'm feel confident about that. Is it an extraterrestrial? I don't know. I think it's a mystery. I think it's an interesting mystery. But do you know who I want to hear from about this?
No, who would you want to hear from about this? Who could
I want to
possibly
hear
wait?
from our listeners about this. And what do you think, listeners, about the Cumberland Spaceman?
Sometimes
is it
known
his
as
wife? Is there?
Yeah, sometimes known as the Solway Firth Spaceman or the Solway
Yep.
Spaceman. Yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely.
is it the guy's wife?
Is it his wife? Is Dr. David Clarke on the money with that, or is he way off? As certainly I think he is. What do you think about the photograph? You can let us know via the usual means. You can email us aliensexplored@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. And of course, if you are one of our Patreon subscribers, you get exclusive access to our Discord server. Join us next time when we will be going back to the days of the International Flying Saucer Bureau. It's very posh, isn't it? And we will be discussing the life, times and work of Albert K. Bender. So don't miss that one.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Actually, I was just saying that. Just another thought about the spaceman. It looks like one of those Evil Knievel dolls. Although they didn't really appear till the 19th century. It's like someone's holding one of those dolls up behind her head.
I had one of those as a kid. Yeah, it predates those dolls.
Yeah,
I can tell you that. But yes, so join us next time when we'll be discussing Albert K. Bender. And in the meantime, keep watching old photographs, and especially what's in the background. And of course, keep watching the skies. Take care for now.
catch you next time. Bye bye. Aliens Explored is a Fecal Films production in association with Juicy Falls. Music by Darren Mafucci and editing by Stu Jackson. Find us on Twitter or Facebook by searching Aliens Explored, or visit us on aliensexplored.com.